Hi everyone, this is Monica from Fat Camera. Today we're going to be learning how to create your very own online juried art show using these 5 easy steps. Step 1, plan. Step 2, entry form. Step 3, advertise. Step 4, website. Step 5, jury and presentations. So if you want to start with an online art show, the best place to start to look is to go ahead and do a search of other art shows that have done online presentations. This one is one that we did this spring. It's bhsartshow2020.weebly.com up here. And I'm going to teach you how to walk through and do this step by step. So in general, what you see on my landing page is just a basic picture and contact information and information about the juror and a presentation below of the winners. And then up here, you will see all the different categories for our art show. If you click on each category, you'll be able to see all the different content inside. So one of the first things you need to determine when you're doing your art show is the deadlines. Give yourself about 1 month to collect the entries and 1 week to put up the art show online. So that you need a minimum of 5 weeks to do this entire show. You also need to determine who your juror is before you start the show. So we found a juror from the University Galleries at Illinois State University. And then we made an agreement on payment and she was willing to go ahead and do it. So I told her everything would be online and she would jury it online. Define your categories. So a way to define your categories is to look at what other art shows have done, but I will show my submission form right here, which is a Google form. You can see that I've put the submission deadline on here. I put the categories on here and what the requirements are, that it must be original, not copyrighted, must be K-12 school appropriate, and allowed up to 3 submissions for each category. Everything had to be made within the last year. One of the first things I wanted my participants to do is to watch this video. This video is how to photograph your artwork. We went into shutdown and I didn't have an opportunity to teach any of the students how to photograph their artwork for an online show. And also I was inviting people who were not from the art classroom to be able to present their work. So if you go to Fat Camera YouTube channel and you look for how to photograph your artwork for online submissions, then you can watch this video and you can link it if you'd like to your online submissions so that people know how to appropriately photograph your artwork while you're at home. So after you've made this form, you need to advertise this form. So I use Twitter to advertise, and I'm going to teach you how to do this in this tutorial, an online advertisement, and the Google form is right here, and then the link to the video is right here as well. So you need to have that advertisement for the call for art. This is a call for submissions, and you also need to create an advertisement for the actual art show once it's live. It is really important to think about share when you're creating your online art show, because you need to find social media, you need to go to Facebook, you need to go to everything that you have access to or your school district has access to, and you need to get that advertised as best you can. So let's get started. Okay, so we're going to learn how to create a form so that you can start to collect submission files from anyone in your online art show that you plan to have. So what I've done is I've provided for you my form that we used for the Bloomington High School art show for 2020, which we had to use for COVID-19. What I did try to do is try to keep my art show very similar to the art show that we typically had, but just turned it virtual. So we went back and looked at all the guidelines that we had in years past with my students, and they helped me come up with this form here. So let's go through it first before I show you how to do it. Okay, So in the introduction on the form, before they get to any of the submitting the information, you need to lay out everything that they need to know about the show. So you need to explain what the deadline is. And the good thing about Google Forms is after the deadline, you can go ahead and stop accepting any entries so that students or anybody submitting does not have access to your form anymore. So you need to also tell them when the show is going to be available. So in here it says May 7th, and I was going to provide a link using the email that I collected here, and also on my Twitter account. And there was an option to be able to contact me with questions. So the categories were photography, painting, drawing, digital art, video, creative writing, music, and sculpture. So creative writing and video were going to be submitted in a different method than the other pieces that were, music as well. Okay. So the requirements that it must be original. So nothing should be copyrighted. They should be original characters and artwork. It needs to be K-12 school appropriate content, and every student could submit up to 3 submissions in any of the categories they want to. Everything needed to be made within the last year, so I didn't want any old work. So in the guidelines, the first thing I said is to watch this video. If you click on this video, it will pull up my YouTube video that I made, which showcases how to photograph your work for online submissions. So it gives you step-by-step guide on how to set up the lighting in your house so that you're ready to submit. So I will provide this link for you in the comment section of this video. So the instructions are to take a quality photograph and crop out the background. One of the things that students forget to do is to zoom in and crop out the background. They include the table and everything else. So that is one thing that you need to really make sure you talk to them about, and use window light if you can. The images need to be under 10 megabytes because that's what's easiest to put onto a Weebly website. And all of them need to be labeled with their last name, first name, and the title of the work. They can submit up to 3 times. And when it comes to creative writing, it could only be 1 page. Just because of the ease of this format that we were using, we didn't want it to be much longer. And it had to be a PDF. The nice thing about PDF is everybody can read it. So on here, you download your document as a PDF and then you submit it. Now, all video and music submissions were done through YouTube link. So they had to put it up on YouTube first. And it all needed to be original content and sent to public viewing. In the future, what I would probably do as well is have them some instructions on how they need to turn off comments so that people cannot comment on their music submissions or their video submissions. Okay. And if your work falls into multiple categories, choose the one medium that is represented the most. So here you go, down here. The submission information, email information, first and last name, what year they are, what category they're submitting for, the dimensions of the work, medium, title. And then they get to submit their file below, but they have to choose one of the file submissions here. They can choose to submit a JPEG for an artwork. Writing would be a PDF. And for a video submission, they just do a YouTube link and original music YouTube link. Once they submit this, they can submit up to 2 more times in order to do their second 2 submissions. So let's take a look at how to create this form. Google Forms is really simple and easy to use. You just go to your Google Drive and you select New and move down to Google Forms. I'm going to call this Sample Art Show. Now, as you see, the title shows up here, but it doesn't show up here. If you click right there, it will automatically show up. So in the form description is where you're going to put all of your information. I went ahead and just copied and pasted so that everything is ready right here. Notice that the link doesn't look visible yet, but once you do publish this, it will show up. Okay, and then you're going to add your questions. So the first thing is you need to collect emails. And even if it automatically collects emails, I like to collect other emails because sometimes students don't check their school email and they only check their personal email. So this gives them the opportunity to do that. So I will be collecting the school email and this email. Okay. All right. So let's go down and we're going to, again, do email because what that did is just set up the automatic one. I want to set up one where they can answer it as well. I want it to be a short answer and I want this to be required. So I just click the require. Next is you're going to do first name. I like to do first name and last name because then I can later organize it by first and last name if I need to. And last name. And make sure you put required on these questions right here. Okay, so this is where you can start to collect information, and this depends on your show that you're having. So I would put school year. So I would put in here freshman, sophomore. I'm not going to go through all of this. Make sure it's required. Okay. Then you're going to add which category they're. Okay. And you can do drop down or you could do multiple choice. I would choose multiple choice so they only choose one category so that they're only going to be judged during one category. So what category is it they're going to have? So it could be photo, painting, music. Okay, make sure that's required. And then you're going to get into start to ask some information about the actual file. So what is the title of the artwork? What is the medium? And make sure you do short answer for that so they can do that. Dimensions. Required. Okay, so now that I've figured out everything that I want to collect from each participant, I'm also going to add the section now where they submit the file. So you need to create a whole nother section so they can see that there's a difference between collecting the information and collecting the submission file. So I'm going to come down to the bottom here, and then I'm going to select add a section. So notice it says after section 1, you're going to continue to section 2. So this is section 1. This will be section 2. We're going to call this file submission. And in the instructions below, you need to tell them only submit one file in the correct location below. Okay, so we're going to have 4 options below. So you're going to click add question. And over here, instead of it being a multiple choice, we're going to make it a file upload. Okay, and then in this file upload, we're going to add artwork submission. And then in parentheses, you need to remind them what it should look like. Under 10 megabytes and labeled last name, first name, title, JPG. Okay, so here you can select only specific file types. So if we select that, we are going to be choosing image. The reason is you don't want it to be a document, a PDF, or video, or anything like that. You do want it to be an image. The maximum number of files is we're going to only allow 1. So every time they make a submission, they need to make a different form. And the maximum file size is going to be 10 megabytes. So it won't even let them go above 10 megabytes anyway. This is not going to be required because they might be submitting a different type of submission. So I'm not going to require it. So everything looks good here. And let's go to our next one. Okay, this one is going to be writing submission, labeled last name, first name, title, .pdf. Okay, and this is going to be a file upload again. Allow only specific files. Yes, we're only allowing a PDF. Okay, 10 megabytes again. Maximum number of files is 1, and it is not going to be required. Next one is music submission. YouTube link. Here, all they're going to do is a short answer, and it's going to be text. And as you can see here, it even has URL because it knows that it's going to be a YouTube link. It's not going to be required. And finally, the last submission choice that they have is their video submission, and it's going to be the same as above. And it's going to be a YouTube link. Again, it's a short answer. URL, it's not required, and it's good to go. Okay, so that's all you need to do to get this set up. The responses are going to show up right here. Okay, right now I have 0 responses. I am accepting responses. You could turn this off if you're not ready for responses yet. And then this is also the same location you go to when you are ready to turn it off after you're done accepting all of your responses. So here, let's go ahead and have accepting responses. You have choices over here. You could get a notification for every single time somebody submits something. I had 108 submissions. I probably wouldn't want that. You could select a destination that it goes to. For me, I like to keep it where they automatically just go to a new file instead of creating a whole nother destination. So I will show you that coming up. So let's take a look. This is the sample art show. If you wanted to look at the responses, you will be able to create your very own spreadsheet of responses. I'll show you what it looks like here. You just click on create a new spreadsheet, or you could select it into an existing spreadsheet you already have. I'm going to create a new one, and it's going to pull up a Google spreadsheet. And as you can see, each category has its own column ready for you. So let's take a look at what it actually looks like from the perspective of the show that I already created. All right, so as you can see here, there's 108 responses. So let's go up here and take a look at Google Sheets. There's a lot of information in here. So it does do a timestamp to let you know when this person submitted. It gives the automatic email that was registered to District 87 or to your district, and then the email that they put in. So if I wanted to be able to email the entire group of people, I could just select this entire 2 columns and I could submit it that way. You can also see this one it's all showing up as a link for what their artwork is right here. And it's kind of neat. You just scroll over it and you can get a little preview of the artwork that they submitted. Now, one thing that was not in this spreadsheet when I originally created it was this column right here. And I created this for myself. So I just added a new column. So all you have to do is come over here and just title it. I just titled it on website. And this is for me. Starting here, you just scroll it down as far down as you need to, and you insert a checkbox. So you go to File or Insert. Where did it go now? Checkbox. Okay, so then every time I put the artwork on the website, I know I've done it. I go ahead and click check right there. It makes it really nice and easy. Okay. Another thing is I wrote over here some special notes. There was times I needed to contact somebody because the submission they did was not appropriate for school, or I also put if they what awards they won here. So you can see I added that column as well. So those are just additional notes. So all you can do now is when you're ready to put this onto your website is to click, and you just click on this file. right here. And all you have to do is download this right here and put it onto your website. Any questions about how to set up your Google form, let me know. Put it into the comment section, and I will give you some better clarification. Thanks for watching. So one of the most important parts about creating an online juried show is that you need to advertise the show as best to your ability. So I use Twitter as one of my main ways to advertise a show. I also emailed out information to the listserv for all the students at the high school. And then I also tasked my students, my art students, to put it on Instagram, onto Facebook, so that it could spread that way. I also contacted the social media coordinator at our district to be able to put it out for us as well. So in this segment, I'm going to teach you how to advertise your show and how important it is to advertise your show and the tools that I use to do it. So here you can see is my original April 28th announcement, reminding students that art show submissions were due on Thursday. Every now and then I would change due Thursday or due on this date. And I always like to use, as much as possible, an animated GIF to advertise it because I really think it catches the attention of my students or of the participants. Inside of the Twitter, I also put a link to the Google form right here, and a link to the video to teach them how to photograph their work for the online submission. Okay. And over here, you can see there's something called send. So if you click on send, you have several options here. This one is to embed the HTML. This one right here is the one you want, is you want to be able to link it to anything that you do in an email or if you do a Twitter post or anything like that. So click on shorten URL to get it as small as you can. And then you just control copy. So now I have this link and we're going to go ahead and click copy. And you notice it even has an option here. You can share it on Facebook and Twitter, but I like to add it with my pictures. You can also send it through email. So I've got my link. I can go ahead and get out of here. All right. So let's learn how to create something like this. We're going to go to something called canva.com. This is the canva.com website. It is free to use. Some templates that you do find are not free to use. I use all the ones that are free. So sign into canva.com, and I just use my Google account to do it. And then what I select is animated graphics. And then it comes up with a slew of different animated advertisements that you could use for your show. And you can obviously change it to however you need to. I use this logo straight from a Google search, and then I embedded it into this design right here. You could use something like this. Let's create this just so you can see. Let's do a new page just so you can take a look. This is a really cute advertisement, and all you have to do is just say BHS Art Show. Notice that it's a little bit too large. All you have to do is come over here and change out the size. Let's see here. Good. Submissions due. You can put the submission due date. And then say 10/21. Click on the link. And so this is really simple. You could have anything you wanted to change this up as much as you want to. And then you come over to the right here. For this animated GIF, you want to download it as not a video. You want to download it as a GIF. Okay, and I'm only going to be doing page 2 for this time. And click download. Remember, when you are working with this show, you need to do both a show to advertise the submissions and a show to advertise when it's actually going live. You can use the same technique. So this year for our high school art show, we went online because of COVID-19. So in this tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you how you can set up a website to have an online juried art show. So let's look at the website that I created, and then I'm going to walk you through how to create one yourself. My homepage just has a header right here. It has a link to email me, a little logo, and some information. And here's information about the show, an image of the juror. The award winners are in a slideshow below. And up at the top, you can see the different categories that we chose for this show. So photography. So here's what the photography page looks like. As you can see, some are landscape and some are portrait mode. And if you scroll over, you will be able to see the title information. And then if you click on the image, it will draw it in closer. Notice also how I have arrows to the right or left, so you can just scroll through the entire show that way. The other sections I have are painting, drawing, digital, music, and sculpture. And it's the same idea for each of these sections. So let's go in and take a closer look. Let's look at how we set up a Juried Art Show site. Go to your Weebly website login page and scroll down to Add a Site. Just need a website. We're not going to do an online store. And you're going to want to choose a portfolio since we're going to be showcasing artwork. What I like to do is I like to look at the way the menu options look for these choices that I have here and choose the one with the best looking menu option. I'm going to try this one down here and start editing. Let's choose a domain name. I'm going to choose Estabrook Juried Show Tutorial. And down here, you can see in the subdomain, the free version, I do have it available right here. So I'm going to choose. Now I'm ready to start editing. Okay, now that everything's loaded, you can take a look at what's already set up for you and decide what you like and what you don't like about it. Obviously, one of the first steps you're going to want to do is to change the title of it. So for mine, I'm going to call it Estabrook Juried Show. And I've got home, about, services, portfolio, and contact. And based on what I set up over here, I'm not going to need all those. I do like having the home button, but all of these are going to actually end up turning into the different pages for my different mediums that we're working with. So let's rearrange the pages. Home is already set to home. That's good. About, I don't need about, so I'm going to click on it and delete. Yes. Again, services, delete. First thing to do is to customize your front page. So you need to change out the text in here and the image that you're using. You can use any kind of image that you have, or you can use some kind of image that Weebly has for you. So let's call this the Estabrook Juried Show 2020. And below it, instead of this view portfolio, I'm going to click that out. And I'm going to add a button so that people can contact me with any questions they might have about the Juried show. Another thing I'm noticing is I think that this is a little bit too small, so I'm going to want to customize that as well. So I'm going to click and drag a button underneath my menu title and customize it. I'm going to go a little bit larger. And then, of course, I need to link it to my email. Okay, so let's customize the image. So we're going to edit the background. We're going to replace this image. You can search from the internet here. You can search URL. I'm going to search art. See what comes up. Kind of like this image. Cool. Down here, you can see there's a lot of already information that's provided for you. I don't want any of that. So the next few minutes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to click on each of these and delete so that I can customize this the way that I want to. Oops, I forgot to save. So spend some time just going to each of these X's and cancel all of this formatting out. So I've cleared all the formatting from the front page, the home page of my Juried Art Show. Now I'm going to add the 3 elements that I have on here, which is an image of the juror, information about the show, and then the slideshow presentation underneath. So if we come back, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click and drag over just common text. And then to the left of that text, I want an image. And I can reassign the size of these images and the text as I see fit. So let's upload an image that I have. Sample image. See what it looks like. Might be a little bit too big, so I'm going to go ahead and squeeze it down a little bit further. That looks good. And now I'm prepared to go ahead and write about the show. In this, you want to give some information about your juror. So we'll go back here. And you can see I gave some information about the juror. I even gave a link to the juror's own art website so that people can find out where she's coming from and what type of artwork she makes. And it's also a good way to promote her work. It might be something you can give her in exchange for a payment. So you decide if you're going to be able to pay her or if you just want to offer to promote her own work. So once you fill that in, then the last thing you're going to do is add a slideshow at the very bottom. And I like this to be a simple slideshow. I'm not ready to add any images to that. We're going to talk about that in another video. Okay. So I'm going to click publish. We got our first page going. Now that we have the home page set up, we can start going to our different pages for the different content that we have in our Juried show. So go to your pages and we're going to add a page, a standard page. And the first one I'm going to call photography. And you have a choice right here. You can hide this in the navigation or you can have it visible. If you hide it, then nobody will be able to see it. so that if you are working on your website and you don't want people to see the content yet, you could go ahead and hide it until you're ready to officially publish this show. For this purpose, I'm going to have it visible so you all can see. I don't like to have a header when I have my portfolio pages because then people have to scroll down too far to see it. So I'm going to click on no header. Everyone knows it's photography already because they just clicked on photography. I'm going to click done. Now I'm ready to build up this page. So I go to build and I'm going to add a gallery. A gallery is a nice, easy way to keep everything organized in your show. So once you have all your photographs downloaded and ready from your form, you can click on here and then upload from your computer. You can do a bulk upload if you'd like to. I'm going to show you just some random pictures that I have of my own. Go. I'm going to choose different types of images so you can see what it looks like when you have horizontal and vertical images. And click open. And so now that the images have loaded for the photography page, I can now customize how I want it to look. Automatically, when you do a gallery, it will show 3 across and it will crop all of your images the same rectangular form. So, and you can see in my images here on my own website, I did 4 across, and I've also made sure that all the images are shown in their full uncropped form. So let's take a look at how to do that. So you're going to click on the white area and you're going to change the columns to whatever fits best for your show. So in mine, I've uploaded 8 images, so probably having 4 across will look better than having 3 across. That's up to you and how many images you have. You can alter the spacing and you can alter the caption. I like to have a caption over hover. And for the thumbnails, I like full thumbnails and lightbox. Okay, and then in the advanced setting, this is the important part where you're going to be able to have your gallery without some cropped images. Underneath image ratio, it says rectangle. You could change it to square, so everything would be cropped into a square, or you could change it to no image ratio, and it will show the full image. Another option is a border. You can choose a thin, medium, or a thick border. I like having a thick border just to have them set out from each other in these images. Okay, and then of course you can change the spacing between. So you can see it gets smaller or it can get larger. I like to have a good amount of spacing between any of these images. All right, one last thing you need to do before you're ready is work on, well, I'm sorry, 2 last things is you need to work on their caption. So for doing a juried show, you want to have the name of the artist. So if the name is Monica Estabrook, since you can't do italics, I like to use quotation marks, title, dimensions, and the medium. And then you can click done. Another thing you can see, you scroll over, you can see the caption. Another thing you need to do is rearrange your gallery so that it looks visually appropriate as well. So, for example, I can just move this over here, move this over here to spread out these vertical compositions as much as possible. And that has a more natural look to it. When you're ready, go ahead and publish. Okay, so you'll do the same thing with the rest of your BDMs for sculpture or anything else that you've done. Let's take a look at what it looks like live. Because after you've published everything and it's ready to go, you need to publish the awards. There's a couple ways to do the awards. The first way would be if you go to your photography, you could have the awards listed underneath each one. So what I did for mine is I went back and I changed the caption to say what award that image won, so that when somebody's looking through the photography page, they can instantly see that. Another way that I showed the awards was doing a slideshow on the home page. For my show, I did a slide about the juror, and I did a slide for all the award winners. And then in particular for me, I used slides to cover the artists who were planning to go on and study art in college as kind of a nice farewell for my senior students. So in my next video, you'll be able to see how I put this together. So let's take a look at how our show looks. Looking good. You can see you can hover over and see it, and then you can click, and you'll be able to click and pull up the image nice and large. So you can see it looks nice. If you click on the image, or if you hover over, you can see the text. You click on it and you can see the image large. The nice thing is you can just scroll through to the rest of the images in the show. And that's how you create your very own juried online art show. If you have any questions, please put it in the comments section, and I'll be happy to answer it for you. Thank you. In this video, we're going to look at how to create a slideshow presentation of the awards in an award show for an online art show. So in this, what you're going to be able to see, I'm going to go ahead and click present. This is in Google Slides. And as you can see, I've created a slideshow that has the same theme throughout the entire show. And it goes from the juror to best in show to third, second, and first place in each category. I kept the rhythm exactly the same by just copying and pasting each slide so that every single one of them looks very similar. The other thing I did here on the very left, you can see the name along with their age group, the title, which I italicized, and the medium and the size of the images. Towards the end of my presentation, I made a slide to honor those students who are studying art in college. And so I made a slide for each of those. So when you created your slideshow, make sure you choose a theme that's conducive to your art show. Any of these would work. And another aspect I really liked about this is when you click on the image here and you go to your format options, I like to add a drop shadow, which creates some distance between the background and the image that is being highlighted here. So those are some of the only stylistic things that you notice that I've maybe changed in my slideshow. So when you're ready to put this into your website, all you have to do is go to your file. I'm going to move this out the way. Go to File. And then you're going to publish this to the web. So it's ready to be seen on the web. The cool thing about publishing it to the web is if you change anything, you realize you had a typo or anything like that, anytime that you make a typo and you change it, it'll automatically change on your website. So I'm going to click on Embed. You choose the different slides, how often it's going to move, and you are going to just click on this is called the embed code, and you do Control-C to copy. You copy that and you're going to place it right into the embed code on your website. Now, I found out the hard way, this is just a little information for you, I found out the hard way that because I have a district account, I am not allowed to share any of my Google files to everybody in the world. So I was only the people who were logged in under District 87 would have been able to see this show, which might benefit you in some kind of way, especially if you have personal information you don't want to share with everybody, you just want to keep it inside the school. So I found out the hard way that I couldn't use this. And so I had to accommodate it differently. So all I did is go to each slide, and then I had to publish each slide and download the slide as a JPEG image. So I created the current slide, turned it into a JPEG image. So that's just one workaround. And then you just put those downloaded JPEG files into your slideshow on Weebly. So there's two options. You can do the embed, or you can actually download each JPEG and put it into the Weebly.